U.S. intelligence officials believe Russia is laying the groundwork to invade Ukraine early next year. Close to 100,000 Russian troops are deployed in Crimea along the Ukraine border. U.S. intelligence suggests Moscow could be planning to send a total of 175,000 troops into Ukraine, possibly in January. The White House says President Biden will speak with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday. Mr. Biden says the U.S. is taking steps to make it, quote, very, very difficult for the Kremlin to invade its neighbor. At the Reagan National Defense Forum on Saturday, our own Catherine Herridge asked the Army's top general what he believes Russia is doing by moving so many troops to the Crimean Peninsula.
What do you think Russia's intentions are? Is it to go into Ukraine early next year?
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do, but I am very, very concerned about, their posture. And it's in the news, somewhere around 95,000 to 100,000 Russian soldiers on the border of Ukraine. That gives a lot of options to the Russians, and I'm not quite sure what they're going to do. But to me, that is a terrible, going to have a terrible impact on the stability and security of our European friends, and so I have serious concerns about that.
And CBS News senior investigative correspondent Catherine Herridge joins us now from the forum, which is being held at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley, California. Catherine set up shop at an Oval Office mock-up in the library's museum section. Catherine, I know, lest anybody's eyes deceive them, let's get right to it, Catherine. Russia has repeatedly denied plans to launch a military offensive. So tell us, what is U.S. intelligence pointing to that suggests that that's not truthful and that, in fact, an invasion might be imminent?
Well, Lana, CBS News has obtained this intelligence assessment, and what it also contains is these satellite images, and what it shows very clearly is that there are at least 4 pockets, heavy concentrations of Russian forces, but not only Russian forces, but also Russian hardware and equipment. And what that means is that it ramps up Russia's capabilities, but more importantly, the options that it has on the table to move quickly if they decide to go into Ukraine. In simple terms, they've pre-positioned people and hardware, so if they make that decision, they can do it quickly with really no notice to the international community.
So, Catherine, help us understand both how reliable is this information, and does it indicate an actual interest in invasion, or is it, as you're also explaining it, potentially preserving optionality in a way to try and garner some other response from the international community?
Well, I've been speaking with current and former government officials here at this conference, and they say there are really a couple of issues here. One is that it may, in fact, be a buildup to sort of test how the U.S. will respond and other Western nations will respond, kind of a probing incident, a very sophisticated one. The other question is that the satellite imagery is very strong. You can see what's on the ground. The problem with satellite imagery is it doesn't tell you the intent of the Russian government. That has to come from human intelligence. It has to come from signals intelligence, so telephone intercepts. So they need to marry up this information to try and discern why the buildup. Is it a probe, or is it towards something more serious? And what is Russia's ultimate intent, Lana?
Catherine, it is so timely that that you are there moderating a panel at the Reagan National Defense Forum as we are learning this new information. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin was the keynote speaker at the event, and he addressed the situation between Ukraine and Russia. I want to play for our viewers a bit of what he had to say.
How concerned are you that Russia this time is not bluffing, that in fact they will invade Ukraine?
Well, we remain focused on this, Brett. They've invaded before, and so as we look at the numbers of forces that are in the border region, as we look at some of the things that are occurring in the information space, as we look at what's going on in the cyber domain, it really raises our concern. We remain focused on this. We are certainly committed to helping Ukraine defend its sovereign territory. You heard President Biden speak about this, I think, yesterday. And it's, in terms of our concern, we're very concerned. And it's something that we're going to remain focused on going forward.
Catherine, was there anything that you heard in Secretary Austin's response that was particularly significant, not just for the people there at the forum, but for the international community that's listening as well?
Well, the two things, Lana, that really jumped out at me, aside from the number of forces, is he talked about activity in the information space as well as the cyber domain. And the reason that matters is that those are indicators of what they call gray zone warfare. That's the battle space between peace and conventional warfare. And the Russians have used it before when they went into Crimea. They used traditional military capabilities, but they also used cyber to be a major disruptor, like a 1-2 punch to really intensify the effectiveness of their incursions. So the fact that the defense secretary is talking about activity in the information space, the cyberspace, those are the ingredients you need for, again, what I describe and what experts describe as this classic gray zone warfare.
And from a national security perspective, remind us, what's the big picture if Russia does, in fact, invade?
Well, what you hear privately from people at the forum is they say it's not only about Ukraine. What happens there is not going to stay in Ukraine. It would send a message to the Baltic states if Russia were to go in and there was really very little consequence. But more specifically, people are thinking about the message that it may ultimately send to China when it comes to Taiwan. If the U.S. and its allies are not able to deter Russia from going into Ukraine, are they going to be able to deter China from trying to go into Taiwan? Or, as one official said to me, is this going to be the moment where China says now is finally the right time because the U.S. was not able to act in a similar situation?
The geopolitical implications of this not just being confined to Ukraine,
correct,
but all of potentially Eurasia is incredibly significant. Catherine, thank you so much for coming on and helping to explain this to us.
Thank you.